Hello and welcome to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about mom shaming, but no, there's also man shaming.
So the big question is this: how are parents like us, who don't have a manual, who are doing the best we can, who feel as though we aren't enough, how are we going to raise healthy, happy children who we are proud of and still keep our sanity in that process? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Ryan Roy, and welcome to I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, a podcast for parents who are being real with themselves.
Hello and welcome back to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about mom shaming and a story around that I read on Reddit the other day. And just know that there's also man shaming, and I'll share a story about a Facebook feed that I engaged in just this morning in a dad's group of 3,500 first-time fathers. So the mom shaming. First of all, Reddit, and I said it in an earlier podcast, but Reddit is an actual great wealth of information, reddit.com. Go there. It's forums that are managed for the people, by the people, if you would. And if there is any really negative or harsh or unacceptable posts, it is policed pretty well, and you'll actually get kicked out of Reddit altogether and not be able to have an account. So there is a lot of great information. There is a lot of really good, thoughtful, put together responses, and I just find it a wealth of information in the parenting realm. So please, that's just another resource. If you're listening to my podcast, just know some of my thoughts come from reading Reddit posts and what parents are going through right now today. So this woman has on this post today, she literally was like, did I go too far and shame this mom? She's like, and she admits that she publicly shamed another mother, and I was like, wow, this is going to be an interesting post, because women always talk about don't shame other moms, don't make them feel bad for whether they're suffering from postpartum, or don't judge how they're parenting, because it's hard enough being a mom and we're already self-critical. That it shocked me to see a title like that, and hence probably why there was like 500 comments on it. So here's the scenario. Their daughters have been going to school since they were infants. They've been going to the same school. They're now 8 years old. But the woman who was shamed, the shamee, her daughter happens to be somewhat of a prodigy. She is apparently reading at a 13 or 14 grade level. She tends to get a lot of academic awards. She tends to get external awards. I think she said things like cheerleading and things like this. She's just very extroverted and very talented. And to this mom's credit, she said, and those things are fantastic. The challenge comes in that because she is extroverted and talented, and mom is very proud of it, this young lady has had the ability to bully other kids and not make them feel good about themselves due to her abundance of confidence, and shames or knocks other kids. And they were at a birthday party recently, and when this comes up, apparently when people have addressed this to the mom, like, hey, she's doing this, or the mother's response is that, hey, you're just jealous because my daughter's better than yours. Which, is probably not the best response when you're feeling as though your kid's being bullied, to point blame or play victim. Oh, you don't like her because she's better than your daughter, or they're just kids and she doesn't mean it, or they just demean what has happened. The mom demeans what's happened. She basically says that her daughter's better and everybody else is jealous. So this mom at a birthday party, when one of these occurrences happened again, and she heard her, and it wasn't even directed towards the woman who made this post's daughter, she says, that she had bullied another kid, and the mom went into her routine and her script of, well, you guys are just jealous because my daughter's better than your daughter. And she had probably heard it one time too many and basically said, no, we actually love that your daughter does so well. We've known her since she was a little girl. We love that she excels at this, but that does not make an excuse for her to bully other kids, and you're being a bully yourself by allowing it to happen and saying that the only reason we bring this up is because we're jealous. We're not jealous. She's hurting other kids' feelings. And it sounded as though, as I read this text, that's how I read it, like she was just being stern and telling her, and I'm sure she could have yelled and there was some emotion involved, but at the end of the day, she told this lady what the real problem is, and the real problem is that you allow this behavior by your daughter, and being exceptional at things does not allow you to be an ass to people. So she wanted to know if she went too far. And the feed said, hey, when you yell and scream or demean other people, that doesn't, people don't typically listen. She went on to say that the mom and her daughter left early. She went on to say that another mom, which is friends with the mom that was shamed, says you didn't have to do that in a public forum. What's wrong with you? And some of that, what's wrong with you, is why did you blow up? Why couldn't you handle it like an adult? And I would say the biggest challenge is not that she addressed it, it was how she addressed it with emotion. And the fact that she allowed it to happen for 7, maybe 8 years now and never said anything. See, if you don't want to be bullied, don't hang out with bullies. If you don't want to subject your daughter, my thought was this, and I didn't write it, but if you don't want your daughter to be subjected to that, why do you go to these birthday parties? Why don't you create boundaries around it? Why don't you say, hey, we don't like the way she treats you, and not only not the way she treats you, we don't like the way she treats others. So because she's invited to this party and there's a high likelihood that she will be there, I don't want to put you in the position to have to feel as though you want to be friends with this person. Or if you want to be friends with this person, I question why you would want to be friends with somebody that hurts other people. Because listen, the 6 people we surround ourselves with are the people we become. And if you surround yourself with a dominant type A, highly confident 8-year-old, and everybody likes her, at the end of the day, our children want to be liked. And if they think that's what gets people to like them, they may end up becoming like that and start demeaning people and start bullying people themselves. And I'm not putting my kid around a child like that. Not by choice, by any stretch of the imagination. So this brings me to men being shamed. The term man up. I'm in this Facebook group, and somebody must have read a thread somewhere where a gentleman or somebody was asking for some advice, and I don't even know what it was, but he said, listen, there are men who come into this group. It's a men's only, first-time fathers group. A lot of, at this point for me, very basic questions are being asked, like, hey, my significant other's like really emotional right now. Should I just leave? What do I do? She's treating me like a punching bag, and it's like, hormones are kicking, guy. If you read any birth or like the expectant father or something like that, they tell you they're highly hormonal, and you end up being the person that created this, and they trust you the most, and guess what? You become that person for them. So you kind of give that advice, where the advice is by some guys, hey, just man up, man, take it like a man. And somebody took offense to that and wrote, and a lot of other guys were like, hey, listen, sometimes guys just need to be real with each other. What's wrong with saying man up? And to this poster's defense, he says, listen, there are guys who may be suffering from depression, may be feeling overwhelmed, may not be financially being able to take care of their family right now, and they're asking legitimate stuff, and somebody's knee-jerk reaction is, hey, just man up. And when I think about that, what does that mean? Like, man up. What is society's definition of manning up? See, society tells us men that we need to go to work and make a living, but also society's telling us now that women can go do that too. Society tells us that mom is supposed to cook and clean, but society's also telling us as men that, hey, you should be able to do the dishes and fold some laundry too. So what man up meant 50 years ago does not mean what man up means today. However, the terminology, I believe, is, hey, be a man, be strong, don't be too sensitive, and just do what you need to do. Where women in today's society goes, I want a man who's gentle. I want a man who will sit there and listen to me. A woman can't sit there and tell a man to man up and at the same time say, listen to me. Because, so I'm just here to say, like, unless you're a real strong man, and you know who you are, and you have built some level of success in various areas in your life that you're really secure, which I believe a lot of men have not, the term man up can push somebody into deeper depression, can cause somebody else more anxiety, can make somebody feel more insecure, which leads to lower self-esteem. And what we do not need is more men that are fathers feeling those feelings of insecurity, because now they're building people. So I think what was meant in that thread, and there was somebody in there really defending it, and he's like, listen, a friend of mine told me one day, man up, when I was going through a little funk, and that's what did it for me. Not everybody's so sensitive, not everybody's this, and this is what I offered on this thread to that particular gentleman. I said, you just said that it was a personal friend who told you to man up. That person knows you. You obviously value that person's opinion. You know that person's coming from a place of love because they're in your life and it's somebody who cares for you. That's a lot different than some asshole on a Facebook thread randomly that you do not know saying, hey man up. So don't compare apples to cantaloupes. Don't compare apples to cement blocks. I mean, it's two totally different separate scenarios, but yet men and even women, my wife was watching The Bachelorette last night. I happened to be watching it with her, and there was a gentleman, they were on a date, and one guy, they were on horses, they went horseback riding, and the guy had a fear of horses. He had a childhood accident on a horse, so he's like, man, I'll do anything for this girl, I'm gonna get on this horse. And then they ate some like sardines or something that they fed each other, and apparently the guy doesn't like any type of seafood, so then he took a bite of seafood and he's about to throw up, and she looks at him and she goes, you got a weak stomach? He says, yeah, something like that. And she goes, man, you need to man up. Like, really? What does that mean? She needs a man to man up. If the guy has a weak stomach and he's eating something that he absolutely is despicable to him, and he's got to eat it, the fact that he even tried it, like, in my opinion, if he would have manned up, he would have said, you know what, I don't do fish. So, I like you, you're hot, I want to romance you, but I'm not going to do something that is so against my character and it may make me throw up because we're in this moment and there's cameras on. That, to me, would have been manning up, not swallowing something that I didn't want to do. But then again, I'm a guy who, if somebody tells me to do something, I'm going to ask them why. Right? Just like if my kids ask me something, I say why. They ask me a question, I say, what do you think? We ask a lot of questions in this house simply because we need to know. Because we don't do things just because people tell us to do them. We research. So let me say this about this podcast, if you've gotten this far along in this particular one. Don't take anybody's advice. Listen if it makes sense. Do your own research. Like, I'm just the guy out here sharing experiences and sharing my thoughts. But if you really want to know for you, and something pings your interest, or something I say or anybody says, well, ooh, that makes a lot of sense, let me do further research. One of the episodes early on, maybe around 50 or 60, I say simply, Google everything. Google it. And see what the masses say. Google definitions. Figure this thing out for yourself. Just don't take somebody else's word for it. Because at the end of the day, all these decisions in life, whether it's here, in parenting, or any aspect of your life, they're your decisions to make. You need to make them as best informed as you possibly can. And that goes right back to the beginning stages of my book. Chapter number 1 of Be the Dad You Wish You Had is go and educate yourself on this thing we call parenting. Woman shaming, mom shaming, dad shaming, there's really no place for it in this world. We're all people. We are all at a stage of life. No matter what stage of life we're at, we all have room to grow and learn. And if we don't know, I would hope somebody would empower me with some wisdom or direct me in a place where I could gain the wisdom, not tell me how horrible I am. Hence, part of the reason I do this podcast. Because I wish I had a resource like this of somebody that was in tune with my thoughts. And look, I don't know who's out there who is in tune with this, but I've gotten some amazing responses and feedback from people saying, man, when you said that made a lot of sense, and they shifted their mindset in a parenting way that empowered them and their children. And that's why I do it. We'll see you in the next episode.
Do you want to be the dad you wish you had? If so, go get my free book, Be the Dad You Wish You Had, at BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com. Inside, you'll find my most effective 40 tips to quickly and easily transform yourself into the ideal dad. Go to BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com now and get it while it's free.